Oh my God.
Programmet presenteras av Betsafe.com.
This is Marcus Corvo with StudioMMA and MMA Nuts, and we're here with Firas Zahabi, the coach of not just the legendary GSP, but you got another couple of guys on the card today, or not today, but on Saturday, in Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Rory McDonald, and you have Francis Carmont as well.
Francis Carmont fought last week. This week it's going to be Mark Bocek, Miguel Torres, John McDessie, and Rory McDonald fighting on this card coming up.
How do you have time?
I work around the clock and don't take any vacation time.
Firas Zahabi was in Sweden. We were there last week. We saw him. He was in some trouble in the first round, but showed some great heart and turned around in the second round. To the Swedish fans' dismay, unfortunately. Were you able to at least watch the fight?
Yeah, of course. I was watching it live. I was really excited for that fight. And Sandblad is a tough guy, and we all knew he was a tough guy. And he's on a good winning streak, Sandblad. So he had a lot of motivation behind him. He had a lot of momentum. And it's UFC. They're all good. Even if the guy's first fight, he's a good fighter. If UFC took him, it's because he's the best. He's one of the best of the best. So every fight is tough. And Francis was really well prepared. I really feel he put all his time and energy into preparing for that fight. And when he was in trouble, man, I was very crushed because of all the time and energy he put in. He put so much time, and I thought he might get out, but I wasn't sure, and he was able to. And sometimes, when a guy gets out of a tough situation like that, it's really exhausting for the other guy. I'm sure Sandblad really was tired after that. He probably thought it was over, and he put everything in. And Francis is a true veteran. To come back from that, it was something, that's a good sign in a fighter. He's got that will to survive and be champion.
Now, you've built a pretty decent, I wouldn't say stable, but a group of guys that train together. You see some trademarks from these guys. Friendly, respectful, good guys, and they all have the champion's heart in them all. Do you find them, or do they come to you?
A little bit of both. Mostly they come to me, so I'm very fortunate and lucky with that. I put everything I got for these fighters, and I make a lot of sacrifice for them, and I think they appreciate that in the end. And we're in this together. I know it takes a lot of hard work and sacrifice for these guys to go through what they do, and I have a lot of respect for what they do because it's not easy to be a professional fighter at this level. It's really a difficult lifestyle, and I have a lot of admiration for them that they could live it and do it. So I really try to be there for them 100%.
And we see George coming out here. He was in Sweden as well, cornering. How important is that team spirit among the guys?
It's important. You see, we work together. We're there for each other. George can be vacationing right now. He could be relaxing. He's done his work and he's gotten his titles, but he's not. He's here with us in the trenches and he's helping the guys. And that's the atmosphere we have. Of course, we're big on respect and being polite and good, because training a fighter is not only training his ability to fight, it's training him for life and being a good human being. And I think it always starts with being a good person. And when you have a bunch of good people that are working together and being respectful to one another, it just creates more group energy, because you don't want to have friction in the group. That's a good way to separate the group and make yourselves weaker. Uniting the team is important, and guys like George are a great example, and they help motivate the team. He's going to be in there with me, cornering, coaching, going through the whole stress. He doesn't have to, but he's doing it for us.
How good is George as a coach?
Phenomenal. You couldn't have a better guy, of course. He's been through it. He's been in there. He's gotten his hands dirty in the cage, so he knows what it is. So.
But sometimes you see guys, they say athletes, not just in mixed martial arts, but in other sports, the player or the competitor doesn't always make the best coach. You saying George has future coaching potential?
George is a very cerebral guy. Some fighters, they run on instinct. I think George he's got both. He runs on instinct and he runs on his logic, on his reasoning, and that makes him a great coach. I think he's going to be a great coach as well.
How close are the guys and you as well, not just in the gym, but privately?
Very close. We hang out with each other all the time. A lot of these guys are going through the same stuff, in terms of life, so they have a lot in common, so that brings them together.
Well, do you guys, is it too much sometimes? You're on the road all the time, staying in hotels together all the time?
I love my guys, man. I'm happy to be with them all the time.
Is there anyone that does something that annoys you? Do you have a pet peeve yourself?
All of them. They all annoy me simultaneously at the same time, but it's like family. You get over it, and you just it's people being people. You got to get around it.
I presume just like in other sports.
Miguel's annoying me right now. He's doing an interview in my ear at the same time as I'm doing an interview with you. I'll make him pay for it later though.
How did Miguel end up training with you guys coming up there?
He was in town to see one of his sponsors in Montreal, and he passed by the gym, and we had one workout together, and we really clicked. Personally and professionally, we clicked. So it just, all of a sudden, he started living in my basement for months at a time and working out with me. So I was, we became close really quick. Our families met, they bonded. So it's, regardless of what happens professionally, we're always going to be friends and family on the other end. And that really helps us in our trainings. I'll go the extra mile to help Miguel, of course, because of the personal relationship.
Miguel is a bit of a prankster. Has he played any good pranks on you?
I think he fears for his life, so he won't prank me, but he pranks the other guys. Yeah,
He does.
definitely. Yeah.
You got these guys, and you keep on building a team of high-level guys. And we just heard GSP say it too. Stephen Thompson is a future champion at the same weight as he's a champion. We see Saturday night, the main event is a good example of this. Coach having two guys at the same weight class. What do you do to prevent that?
I really believe in seniority, and I really believe in loyalty. When Steven comes to our gym, he shows us everything he knows, and we show him everything we know, and we trust each other. I'll never challenge Steven. I'll never work against his interest. And the same thing with Rory. I took Rory under my wing. George took him under his wing, and we showed him everything we know. And it took us years to learn that, and we could just show it to you in a minute. So it takes a lot of trust. Rory, we've been putting him on a regimen. He'll.
You want to tell him to shut up?
I want to tell him to shut up. You.
He just poked in the back of it.
Can I sucker punch him as you're doing the interview? What were we saying? Oh yeah, no, you show him everything, and that's what I call inexpensive experience. When I learn something, I learn it the hard way. I make a mistake and I have to figure it out and learn the hard way, and I pay a price. But then you come along and I just tell you about my mistake and I teach you what I learned from it, and that's you didn't pay any price to learn that. So that's something that's why I'm a big believer. When all my trainers that train me, I'm extremely loyal to them. I never turn against them and I never work against their interests, because what the truth of the matter is, when somebody gives you knowledge, you can't do it. You can never pay them back. Not with money, not with the favors. There's nothing you can do. The knowledge is the most. It's something. It's what I give the most importance to. The knowledge. So. I feel a lot of respect in the gym that guys they understand that, and it's important.
And they have tremendous respect for you. You hear, champions of the sport, top prospects of the sport, all say the same thing. What you do is different. You are the best. What do you feel makes you that high level best? If not the best, one of the best in the sport as a coach.
I don't think of that. I just try to do the best I can, and what people will say. And I always tell my fighters, never tell people you're good. If you're good, people will tell you, and don't walk around telling guys how good you are. I see a lot of fighters that try to boost their ego and whatnot. I always try to convince my guys not to do that. It's not a good manner of, in my opinion. It's not a good manner of behavior. It's not a good reputation to build for yourself. And I try to train them in every aspect. Even how they deal with their manager, how they deal with their fans. I try to show them every aspect of what it is to be a martial artist and a fighter. And I think they have a lot of I think they appreciate it. And not you could train 100 guys. There's always gonna be that one guy who doesn't appreciate it. There's always gonna be that one guy you can't connect with. But I'm very lucky. The majority of my fighters, we had a good connection, and just building a good synergy, and I believe that they think that I'm doing the best I can for them, and I really am. I'm trying my best. I don't have any magic tricks or anything like that, but I just really trying to do 100% the best I can for these guys to be successful in their life. And I think when somebody does that for you, most people, not everybody, but most people will appreciate it in the end, and they'll be loyal to you.
And let me rephrase that question, because I agree. All of you come across as such nice guys. You really are. However, there's a lot of nice guys out there that are not world champions in mixed martial arts. What do you feel that you do potentially different? What is maybe one thing at least that makes you, that you think that you do somewhat different than other people?
It's hard to say. I've had a lot of good mentors. I'm very lucky that I had a lot of good coaches. That's something that I was very privileged on. I've got to work with a lot of world champions in wrestling and jiu-jitsu and boxing. I was trained under John Denar, which I find was a huge influence on me as a coach. John Denar is a black belt under Renzo Gracie. He trained me in George in jiu-jitsu, and his approach was really to reduce every sport to its smallest component and breaking things down and analyzing things. And he's just a very cerebral human being, and I felt I learned a lot from him there. And I've been in with so many great coaches, you know, in terms of conditioning, Gavin McMillan, Jonathan Chamberg, you know, in boxing, Howard Grant. We even got to work with Freddie Roach. I mean, George has been working with Freddie Roach, showing me, you know, everything he's been learning there. So, I mean, we're very blessed to have so many great coaches passing around this knowledge that, you know, I'm lucky that I'm in the middle of it all the crossfire, you know, all that knowledge is, you know, I'm getting to connect with all these coaches, so I'm very blessed to learn from these guys, you know, and I think I can hand it down to the MMA guy coming up because he needs to learn all of that, but it's hard to go visit every coach in the world, you know.
Absolutely. So. And how active are you still? Yourself?
I'm very active. I still wrestle and box and wrestle with all my guys, and I spar with them all, and not during training camp because it's too close. I got to watch and break fights down, but off season, I mean, I spar with them all, you know, all of them.
Should beat them up?
I like to get my hands dirty, you know. Yeah, you know how it is. Everybody has good days and bad days, you know. But I like to I don't like to sit there and point the finger and tell people what they're doing is right or wrong. I like to show them and get on the mat with them. And if I believe something is gonna work, then I should be able to do it myself, you know. And at the end of the day, I'm still young, so I should have no excuses not to get on the mat.
Thank you, Firas, for coming in here and talking to us. Looking forward to see you in the corner on Saturday night.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Programmet presenteras av Betssafe.com.